Good evening, Junius. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Ms. Dawn? Can you hear me well?
I can hear you well, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dawn Wilson. I'm the host of the Caribbean Edge. And with us tonight, I have Mr. Junius Douglas. And I think his camera is moving a little bit. So hi, Junius. Welcome. I'm so honored to have you this evening as we share your journey with us. We are doing a series called Against All Odds, as we talk to various people about their journey, that I call the lowest of the lowest times in your life and how you survived it and what made you survive it. So welcome.
Thank you for having me, Ms. Dawn.
You're so welcome. So I know there are two things that you mentioned to me, one being suicide and one being homelessness as well. So tell us about you, where you're from, what people really should know about you.
Well, first of all, I'm from Plainfield, New Jersey, right? I'm the fourth born of 6 children in a single parented household. Out of my siblings, I'm not trying to make them lesser than me, but I'm the first to graduate from high school. And I'm the only one out of 6 to attend and graduate from college. My sisters and my brothers, like I said, if you understand the statistics of families and how their success rate is projected based on the single parent household, the fact that none of us are deceased, the ones that were in prison are out and working. I would say my mom did a great job, amazing job. So I'm from Plainfield, New Jersey. Before I ended up where I experienced my suicidal thoughts and actions, as well as being homeless, all of that did not happen in New Jersey. As a aspiring, what is the term that they use? Forget it. As an aspiring person that was changing the narrative in my family, no college graduates, no one that can, be the pride of your mom saying not saying that my mom's not proud of all 6 of her children, but no one that went to college, nothing that she can tutor horn about everything and anything. But yeah, I'm from poor family. I don't want to degrade my family, but lights being out, you live, you hear it in hip hop music, you live with mice, roaches, all of that good stuff. I came from the gutter, the hood. If you can paint a colorful picture of the deplorable nation of Black people and how we had to struggle and live and thrive, I grew up in that. I grew up in the gutter. So yes, my mom raised 6 children by herself. She did a good job. Out of those 6 children, I'm the only one with a college degree. And we're going to talk about the experiences that happened in between me getting that college degree. So yeah, I had a tough life, but I'm still here breathing and smiling. So everything is
What
good.
a beautiful smile it is. Thank you.
Sorry that my camera keep falling. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep adjusting it. One day I'm gonna have a crew. One day I'm gonna have a crew that I can pay to say, "Hey, make sure everything is good."
So, Junius, at some point, you contemplated suicide or acted upon it. So, walk us through that journey. What age were you?
This happened about, I want to say 2011, 2012, 2012. Yeah, it's 2012. So I'm in school with the pressures of being a first generation. Well, not really a first generation. My mom went to college, but she didn't finish. So I was trying to be the first student in my family to wield that title as a college graduate, not for my own self-pride, but to elevate the social economic status of my family. You understand? So I understand the power of education. So I'm in school. I was an aspiring football player. I get to college. I get two opportunities to try out for the team because they didn't recruit me. I transferred to Benedict College from Lackawanna College. At the time, Lackawanna College is a junior college in northeastern Pennsylvania. When I transferred from the college, we were number five in the nation. The previous year we beat the defending national champions, Glendale, Arizona. So I didn't have a reason to leave. I just wanted to leave. So I left and I went from Pennsylvania to South Carolina, from 2 hours from my family to 11 hours from my family. I get down there, and as I'm experiencing life, I don't have like I said, we grew up impoverished. So we didn't have the opportunities like the other families had. Just call your mom for some money. Just call like they did what they could, but you knew every time you asked, it was putting them at a disadvantage because they still had their livelihoods to manage and maintain. So you didn't want to ask too many times, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? I had angels, like I had a teacher, I had some people that would, but at the end of the day, in the back of my mind, you didn't want to put your burdens on someone else because you were in need. Because at the end of the day, they still had to live and breathe and eat and pay their rent and car notes. So you didn't really ask. So pride for me, it was a two-edged sword. At one point, it helped me thrive, but at the other point, it kept me cuffed. It kept me cuffed. So it was like, okay, you ask or not. So most times I didn't ask. So I ended up, and I had a teacher, I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to shame her, but I had a teacher that said, because you're so prideful and so stubborn, you're going to go through a hard life. And I didn't listen because, I'm out here with the pressure of making my family proud, changing our socioeconomic status. Like, just with the college degree, I can be open to more jobs that an ex-felon or someone with a high school degree are not afforded or allotted. So I get to college. I'm doing well for the first 2 years. I transferred in. Like, I graduated high school with 1.9 GPA, right? I graduated high school with 1.9 GPA. At the time that I transferred to Benedict, only 16 of my credits transferred, but I had the willpower to, can you hear me? Because I see a mic is muted. Okay. So I had the willpower to earn a 3.2 GPA. I earned scholarships, but it still wasn't enough. My mom couldn't pay the Parent Plus loan, etc. So I started working different jobs, Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, working at a club. I had many jobs. And, of course, with working, you have time management. I wasn't good with time management. And I'm a philanthropist. Okay, because I struggle and I understand since I was young, being a missionary in church, like you give because you believe as a Christian you're gonna get it back. Your heavenly reward is in heaven. So I didn't have a temper to slow me down from my giving and from my being willing and able, as well as I didn't have any guidance for it. I wouldn't say I didn't have guidance. I just didn't listen. So eventually, I chose working more because I needed money to pay for school instead of handling my business. So I would go to work, pick up shifts. If someone would say, hey, can you work for me? I would work. I would miss class. I write email to teachers and say, hey, I have to work. I can't, this has to be done. I have to work. And eventually, they say, yeah, but they weren't grading. So eventually I got suspended from school. And once being suspended from school, before I get suspended from school, there was a director of housing at the college that I attended, and when I signed up for housing, he was like, "Hey, you're 23. You shouldn't be living in a dorm. You should live in an apartment." Me, you're right. I should be living in an apartment. So I went and signed up for an apartment. I'm working at Chick-fil-A, so I'm getting money, but the apartment that I have is 7 miles away, and I don't have a car. So imagine walking to class 7 miles, after class, going to work, walking a mile from there to work. And then after that, you work 8 hours. Sometimes you work more because some people want to get off and you just want to get the money. And I'm just working, working, working. And then after that, you get off at closing, you got to wash the dishes, all of that good stuff. And then you walk home. So that's 8 miles that you got to walk home. So I was walking, I got exhausted. And because I was making money, I'm like, okay, I can become a franchisee through Chick-fil-A. I don't really need a college degree. I can become, I listen to that dream. Hey, you can get franchised. You can franchise with us. You know the system, man. You don't need a college degree. I was a gullible person. I believe everything and anything that people would say. If I put my faith and trust in you, I would believe it. So gullible. So when they said, hey, yeah, you can get a friend. You need a college degree. I put all my weight. You know, they say never put all your eggs in one basket. I put all my eggs in one basket and said, I'm going to neglect college and become a franchise and take my franchise back home and give my family and friends jobs. Bring a
You
Chick-fil-A.
took a risk on yourself, though.
I did. But then, it didn't work out that way. It didn't work out that way. So I'm already suspended from school. I have an apartment, so I'm working. Now I'm working at Chick-fil-A. I'm taking up all the hours now. If you want me to work, I work in the mornings. I'll take your opening and I'll close the store. So I'm there all day and they're allowing it. I'm cool. Listen, I'm picking up a shift. You have a shift switch process. That's what it is. We're gonna do that. So so there's times I'm making like on a minimum wage salary after taxes, I'm bringing home $1,000, like because I'm working that much. It felt like a family. They had couples days and like not couples, but family days and picnics, and we would do all that type of stuff. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, somebody 1,100 miles from home looking for some stability. Chick-fil-A is the family. I can lean on this. Didn't work out that way. You understand? So I ended up being fired from Chick-fil-A after all the time because I went to a internship, right? Well, it wasn't an internship because I was kicked out of school, but it was something that somebody at the school gave me an opportunity. Say, hey, there's an opportunity. It's through the school, but you can get service learning hours, but they can pay you. So they were looking out, giving me more income so I can be able to come back and pay for school. I went on this trip. The hiring manager or the person that does the scheduling, she said, put it on the back of the page. I put it on the back of the page, the process, whatever. So I didn't come in, they sending me text messages, etc. I'm like, hey, I put it, like you said, on the back of the page. And she said, I don't see it. So I come in, when I come back after I went on the trip, learned about this, I don't have to leave the city to go. I just needed to leave the city for that day to meet the people that ran the program. The program was going to be ran in Columbia. They just wanted to meet me. So I have a meeting with the owner of not the owner of the entire Chick-fil-A, but the franchisee, the proprietor, upper management, all of upper management. We're talking about the situation, and the person, the proprietor, he's my fraternity brother. So I'm like, okay, I'm thinking, not that I have preferential treatment, but I'm like, okay, if I speak the truth, he's gonna look out. As I'm telling them, and I'm showing where I wrote down the date that I was gonna be missing, she said, you wrote it on the wrong date. I'm way up here. I'm like, this is the date. So we get into it. He snaps on me, and he's like, if you want to work here, you better get it together. I'm like, what did I do wrong? I'm showing you I did everything, and totally flipped on me. So the family orientation that I thought I had wasn't there. So eventually I wasn't given enough effort, and I was let go. And from then I'm trying to work security at clubs. I'm trying to work security at clubs and trying to get money under the table and still trying to figure out how I'm going to pay rent. That didn't work. And I had 2 other roommates at the time. I'll keep them nameless, but I let them know, hey, y'all have to pay your portion of the rent because I can't move back into a dorm and crutch on this college. Yeah, we got you. Everything's good, bro. These are people that you don't move in with strangers. These are friends that I moved in with. So I didn't move in with strangers. One day I just happened to walk home. Like I said, I walked 8 miles from my job after working a double. I walked 8 miles to my house, and I get there. One roommate texts me at work, and I didn't see the message until as I'm walking home, says I'm moving out. I'm going back on campus. The other roommate, I walk in, he's packing his bags, and he broke the window because him and his girl got in an argument. So now I'm sitting here with a broken window in the house in the winter, and I'm the only person with their rent money. So I talked to the rent office. They said we can move you to somewhere lesser, but what do you want to do? I only have enough. I'm only managing with the money I'm making at Chick-fil-A on minimum wage. I'm only managing to pay my portion. You understand? So they moved out. I said I don't have enough. I can pay you in increments. I can pay you half now and half on the second check. They wasn't feeling it, so I got evicted. Before I got evicted, I got the eviction letter. I left the letter on the door. I acted like nobody was there. I would sneak in at night when the office was closed, and I knew that Richland County was not coming to check, so I would sneak in. And depressed because I'm in this apartment that we had an agreement that, hey, we all on this. I thought you could depend on friends. I don't have no family to depend on, so I'm depending on y'all. And I bared my heart to you to say, hey, there is no other option for me. You understand? There is no other option. So if we lose this house, I'm on the street. I said that. There is no other option. So, but people had plan Bs the whole time. You understand? People had plan Bs. I was telling them I didn't have the plan B. So we get to that. I'm sneaking in the apartment. One of my roommates left their dog. So the food that I did have, because I'm a compassionate person and empathetic person, I fed the dog cold hot dogs, and I fed the dog string beans. We had canned goods. There was no lights in the house. It was just me and the dog. After a while, I gave the dog away because I couldn't watch a dog starve and die. So I gave the dog away to a better home. And just me in the house now. I'm just lonely. I tried to read this. I read the entire story of Job, the entire book of Job, right? And I'm just looking like, yeah, God, I understand this is just a hardship, but come on. At the time, I'm like, come on. I pay tithes, I pray, I do all of that. What's up? Excuse me, I'm getting a little choked. I do a lot. I stay on the straight and narrow. So it's why am I struggling? I ain't doing nothing crazy. You understand? So it's just okay. So, people say you talk to God, he give you answer. I'm talking to those that talk to God and don't hear nothing. I didn't hear nothing. So I was where you were. I didn't hear anything. At the point in time before, I had just hurt my leg. So I didn't have, I couldn't play football. I couldn't use my backup plan and be athletic. I had hurt my leg. So everything that I thought about playing football, first major injury ever. The worst injury I ever had in sports was a high ankle sprain. So when I literally tore ligaments in my knee and didn't have insurance and couldn't take care of myself, etc., it was just so I went to the emergency room. They gave me some medicine. They injected something. I'm good. When they left, they gave me Tylenol 3 and where they said Tylox, and they said it's like Tylenol 3, and they gave me some ibuprofen 800s. They gave me 8 pills of some tramadol, just 8. Eventually I have these pills. I'm a tough guy. So I didn't take all my tramadol. I didn't take all my 800s. I didn't take all my Tyloxes. So pain is okay, I can't be walking around taking these. So I'm trying to do rehab on my own, doing walking, getting my strength built up. Eventually everything is good. I'm just trying to find a job everywhere. Couldn't find a job. Nobody wanted to hire. So I'm living off of, this is a gas station around the corner. I'm living off of this special that you get a drink and 2 hot dogs for $1.99. So every night I'm eating hot dogs and drinking Sprites. And one day I just get tired of drinking Sprites and hot dogs. And no matter how you dress it up, sauerkraut this day, relish, ketchup, mustard this day, jalapenos this day. It's just like you can't get too fancy with gas station hot dogs. So eventually, I'm at home. I'm home and nobody's there. I don't have a phone to call people. You don't have nobody to bounce your ideas off of. And eventually, I just, you know what? I have like a half a bottle of some cheap vodka. It was about a liter. I have a half a bottle of that. I have all the pills that I named. And I just take all the pills and I drink all the vodka and I lay down because I didn't have the guts to slit my wrist. I didn't have I didn't really want to hurt myself. I just didn't want to be here no more. I just wanted to end the pain as painless as possible. So I drank the pill, I drank the liquor, ate the pills, and I laid in the bed. And I can feel myself just sinking into the bed, like the bed was just wrapping me up. And I'm just like, and then that's all I remember is going dark. And I had a dream. Like I had a dream. I can remember the dream, like, people say they have these very vivid dreams. I had this dream. And in this dream, I'm going through and you see where, like, not where you messed up, but it's just like, it's showing you like a war zone. And it's just like, you hear like whispering, you like, who's around, but you don't see nobody, but you hear a voice guiding you through what you're looking at. And I'm looking at everything tore up, and then you see like your hometown. I see all of this stuff, and it's just like, this is where you messed up. This is where you let stuff lack. This is where you lost responsibility. And it was just like, being too caring. Not saying that you don't care for people, but it was just like, like putting everybody above yourself and not putting yourself in the equation at all is where you messed up. So, it's showing me that, it's showing me this, and it was just like, this is where you messed up. And then I heard a voice say, I'm not finished with you. But before it said, I'm not finished with you, I'm sorry. I'm standing in the balcony of a church, and everybody's wearing all white, and it's this grand processional where there's like, I would say at least 100 distinguished dignitaries, right? Whether they are ministers, imams, whatever, like no religion dignitary. Like I seen Jesus in the line. I seen pastors. I seen the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. I seen all these people in line, Marcus Garvey. And then I'm looking down from the balcony, but I can see myself in line with these people. And then the person that was with me, but I didn't see nobody, was like, we're not done. We're not done. And then I wake up, right? I wake up. And at that time, I hear somebody knocking on the door, right? And they eventually get in and they bust in the room. And it was my LB. Not one, is my fraternity brother. We pledged together. We were initiated at the same time. And he was like, bro, where you been? I said, bro, I've been here. I went to sleep last night and I woke up. I'm here. He said, no, I've been calling you for 3 days. I've been calling you for 3 days. Where have you, like, why you ain't answer the phone? I said, and then I told him, I said, I took the pills. He's seen the pills. He said, bro, what the hell? I took the pills, drank the liquor. I said, I just been here. I have not moved. He said, bro. So eventually I went and talked. I'm a prideful person. I thought, I was gone. I was there for 3 days pretty much. I was in that bed, in that spot, 3 days. I didn't move. So when he found me, I thought I just went to sleep for a night. He said, I've been calling you since Sunday. You feel me? He can tell you, like, if he was here, he'll tell you. Like, I'm not making this up to get pity. So I've been calling you since Sunday. So I've
Oh,
been
we believe we believe
like,
you.
yeah, like I've been calling you since Sunday.
And thankful that he came knocking,
Mm-hmm.
and that's so important to check on your friends. So thank your friend for checking on you.
And I like, to this day, like, there's like, to the end of this world. I go to the end of the world, whether it's round or flat. I go to the end for him. Not like, because just like David and Jonathan, that's my breast and my breast. Like, that's my friend. Like, we are family. Like, that thing that I was looking for, he established. Not like I'm in love with guys, because I'm not, and I understand this is 2021 and it's acceptable, but that's not me.
So
But
how would you? I don't mean to. How
No,
would
it's
you
okay.
summarize your mindset at the time? Because you did go through such a struggle, right? And I
Mhm.
know some of the companies that you've called out, Chick-fil-A, they're not here to defend themselves from an
They didn't
HR
do anything
perspective or
wrong. It was just,
anything. Yeah. And so as you think back, which you've probably done throughout the years, like what was your mindset for someone contemplating? I imagine it's like a
like
loss of hope.
loss of hope. And then like, it's not that I couldn't go home. I didn't want to return home without what I left for. So yeah, like just in the same way that the prodigal son could always go home and at least he believed that he could be a servant in his father's house who obtained great wealth. I didn't even want to go home because it's like you left home for a specific reason and you need to come back with what you left for. And I'm like, okay, I can't come home. My mom, she called, needed. Like when I finally told her, I never told her until probably 4 years ago what all I went through. You understand? But when
What
I
did she
finally,
say?
well, the story originally started off, we were just having a heart to heart. And it was, my mom had just told me she has a rare disease called scleroderma. So then I'm a mama's boy because she raised me and I was all broken up. So I was like, this is the time to tell her everything. Like, I don't know if, this disease is going to tell her. So I was like, yeah. One time she asked me, because, I've always been a quiet, standoffish kind of guy. And she was like, 2 years prior, she was like, have you ever been molested? Or because I don't never see you bring home a girl. And I said, no, Mom, what? But I was like, Mom, remember that time you asked me if I ever been touched? And I said, well, yeah, this is what happened. She said, what? And I said, this also happened. I was homeless. And then I just started giving her everything. She was just like, we both cried. It was just like, why? And she thought it was something that she did wrong. It was nothing. I'm like, nah, it's nothing, Mom. You made me a man. And my thought was, why should I come home and lean on a crutch when I know you're not going to be here forever? I need to be a man. I need to mature into this. She was just like, no, you're supposed to come home. And we could have got to that together. Like,
Yeah, mom, I'll tell you, anyone listening, and you, Junius, mamas are always there for you, and some dads too. So it doesn't matter for a mom that you left and went off and you weren't successful to your standards or your vision, wanting to come home and be the hero of the family, so to speak. At the end of the day, that love and support from a mama is there.
so I had to keep a strong secret. Like, when she asked me, I'm good, I'm good. And in that I learned to live not a minimalist lifestyle, but a less frugal lifestyle. You understand? Like a lot of things didn't matter. The new Jordan releases, all of that stuff. It's like, come on, guy.
So once
So
your friend found you, and thankfully you did not succeed,
mhm.
what were your thoughts like?
Like
What
all I
was your
could think
turning
about
point?
was what I saw during that 3-day period.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I could think about was like it was literally like the Christmas story, like just without the 3 stages. All I could think about was that. And so whenever I think about being low or distraught or discontent, I always think about, hey, I saw something, right? I saw me in a processional with a bunch of distinguished men walking towards the altar or the stage or whatever people would like to call it. And I have not made it to that. So it is not done yet. Don't take yourself out. God has the decision. Don't get crazy. So my thoughts was, it has been like keep fighting, persevere,
Yeah.
persevere.
Did you think about the collateral damage you'd leave
And
behind?
that's another thing. Somebody else, social media does have a way of like giving you thoughts. Social media said, and I guess it was an angel or God putting that thought in the front of my mind. Like when you commit suicide, you don't just hurt yourself, you hurt all the people that's left behind. And I'm like, I don't want nobody thinking me to be a coward or anything like that. And, you know, I know that's a lot of thoughts that go through people's heads, but that's me. I'm a private, like I said, I started off saying I'm a private person. So it was like, I don't want to be selfish because somebody got to pay for this funeral. Somebody got to pay for this. Somebody got to pay for my body to be shipped back to Jersey. And I already came from an impoverished family. So it was just like, man, it
Apart
was
from
just,
the financial perspective, though, and I'm going to talk as a mom, it's like to think that my son couldn't reach out to me or his siblings or his friends to get to that mindset. No judgment to you at all. I'm just talking from the other side. You know, the finances will come, we'll raise the money somehow for the funeral. But what I'm saying is, you know, emotionally, like you're left with, I can only imagine why didn't my son reach out to me, or why did he do this? Or, you know, it's more than the finances on the other end of the spectrum. And so, I don't know. So tell me now that, looking back on that moment and, you know, thinking of the family and your friends and everything else, why you got up and somehow you are where you are today. So tell us briefly about what happened to motivate you to say, I need to survive.
so eventually it was like after being on the street, I was homeless for about 2 years, and I ran out of money and ran out of hustle. Right after I didn't run out of hustle, but my mindset, everything that I thought to do wasn't catching. Like the ideas didn't formulate into to finance. So eventually, I limped myself back over to Benedict College as like the lame man in the Bible, like the lame man sitting at the gate asking John the Baptist and Peter for, was it Peter or was it Paul? But he's asking them for some money, and they said, "Silver and gold have I not." You know, there were a few employees at Benedict College that eventually, like sometimes they would give me money, but eventually they would speak more, and that the words that they gave were more important and more wealthy, more wealthy, like I said, than um, money at the time, because I was only going to go and buy, like I said, hot dogs or some broccoli and rice and garlic sauce, something cheap to make the money stretch. So they were like, you know, eventually they continued to, they say, hey, go work in the cab, go work in the bookstore. At least that way, the school can see that you're working, and they know how much you make. And then if you say, hey, I can pay this, they can put you on a payment plan. So, you know, they know that, okay, this is, you have the bookstore, you have the calf money, you still got to live. I didn't tell them at the time that I was homeless. So at that time, once I went back to Benedict College campus, I started living on campus. Before they secured um, the campus down with locks and cameras and alarms, I was already there. So I knew where to sneak into. So there were times that I slept in Duckett Hall, which is now named after the Tyrone A. Burroughs building. And sometimes I slept in the Duckett Hall. There were times that I slept in the Little Theater or in the Fine Arts building. There was times that I slept in the CAF. There were times that I just, you know, because I knew how to get in these places. I didn't steal anything. I didn't destruct any property because I didn't want to mess up my house. This is where I sleep at night. I don't want to sleep behind the garbage can. I don't want to sit in the park. So there was times, you know, I didn't bring nobody with me and say, hey, I got somewhere for you to sleep. This is my own sanctuary. And in that, I would, you know, there was one time somebody caught me sleeping on the floor in one of the buildings. He was gonna tell, and I like literally broke down and cried. I said, bro, I need this. I need, like, please don't let me, like, I mean, I ain't stealing, I ain't breaking, look at everything. Like, before the teacher's first class, I'll be gone. Like, I used to, like, I was self-conscious. I would carry air spray. So, you know, if necessary, I can spray the room where I was. Um, there were two dorm directors that don't work there anymore. They would let me come take showers in the dorms. Because I was always a good person. Like, I didn't wall out and destruct school. I have one fine at Benedict College campus in 12 years of being there. One fine. Yeah, I said 12 years because it took me a while to actually, I ran out of financial aid. So I had to really knuckle down. So I have one fine. So I wasn't a troublemaker at Benedict. So, um, Yeah. So what eventually got me together, I said, after that dream, I said, I saw some things, and this is not the end of the story. So don't check yourself out. I see your pillow in the back, just one more chapter. My motto was just keep writing. Like, keep writing your story. Keep writing, like, because it's not done. Like, you have so much to add to your own story. So in the same way you had just one more chapter, I was like, keep adding to your story. So I kept adding to my story, and eventually the work, like they say in the Bible, your work or your works will bear fruit for you. So I kept showing up at work. I would volunteer when open houses. Hey, the Omegas were suspended. So when they had open house, they said, "Hey, Mr. Douglas," or they wouldn't say, "Hey, we need you to represent Omega." I was there doing step shows or in the open house. I was there cleaning up campus. I was making myself useful in any way. Eventually, I would talk to the different deans at the college, and I would say, "Hey, I understand that I messed up. I'm not here to continue to beg y'all for an opportunity. I know I accept my fault. I even want you to use me as an example for the freshmen." So they put me in control, or not control, they put me in contact with the Freshman Institute. So I'm now talking to students about, hey, I understand you're young. I understand you want to have fun, young, wild, and free. Manage your responsibilities. Because at the end of the day, all these people that smile in your face when stuff hit the fan, you're by yourself. So don't fall down. Like, you see me, before I had all these gray hairs. And then eventually when I did have gray hairs, I was like, yeah, I don't want to be around here. This is a 4-year project. I'm still here because I have to pay out of pocket. If I can't get to class, like, there were so many stipulations with me getting out and completing. But to answer your question, what got me to the point of this is not it. It was just like I said, I continue to say to myself, hey, one more chapter, or keep writing. And it's not it. So go, this is not it. So I went back to the school, eventually working at the school, making myself available, talking to people, like, listen, well, right now you wilding, you're tripping. And then some teachers will allow me to sit in their classes, just go to the college and sit in on the lecture. That gave me a hunger to continue to pursue education because I'm learning stuff. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't go every day because now you got to pay for the class. But some days it's different teachers. So teachers would talk to me like, why are you here if you're not taking my class? I just wanted to learn something for the day. Eventually I would tell them, hey, I'm not even a student. So that wouldn't put them in a bad position. I'm not even a student here. I'm home. I didn't try to get pity, but I just wanted to make sure that they understood that, hey, I'm not a student. I don't want you to get in trouble. So if you tell me not to come back to your class, I won't come back. You understand? So that
Did
eventually
they tell you
somebody
not to come back, or they allowed you? Okay.
they they
I
allowed
just want to big up the teachers that allowed
yeah,
you to stay.
they
That's
allowed
why
me to
I asked
stay,
that
like,
question.
because most times students didn't interact. So when, like, I have nothing else to do and the teachers was like, hey, y'all go home and read this page on this page. I didn't have the textbook, so I would go to the library and I would go read different books that lent information to what she was talking about. So when teachers saw me, not just she, even guys, when they saw me come in, they knew they were going to have interaction. They knew that, okay, this guy, and through that interaction, the students that didn't want to interact were either empowered or they still learned. So it was like, hey, if you're not going to do the research, I'm going to do it for you. And in this conversation that the teacher and I are going to have, listen. And you shouldn't fail a test. So that's what the beginning of my tutoring, where I started a tutoring service. But yeah, that was beginning. Like, hey, I understand that most of y'all just come in here because your parents made y'all get out the house. Make something of it. So big up to the teachers that continue to allow me to come to work. Big up to the police, to the Benedict College Police Department, that when they saw me on campus, they didn't kick me off campus because I wasn't a troublemaker. There are some guys that are around campus. There's some ladies around campus in there. They don't have any decorum. But I wasn't one of those. So, they allowed me to walk through campus. Yeah. So Benedict gave me that even though I wasn't a student, I would sneak into the caf. Eventually, before I start working in the caf, I would sneak to the caf and People are like, you don't have an ID. I said, I left it in my room. You always leave it in your room. You always leave, go get it. There ain't no room too far. So, I had to come clean. Like, hey, I don't go ahead. Can I wipe the tables down? Mind you, a college cafeteria. Can I wipe the tables down? Can I mop the floor? You can't do that because you got to work here. Well, can I work here? Please.
But you know what is interesting for me on this is the fact that it's not even that you are a good guy. It's great that you're good because that would give them an excuse to kick you out.
Mm-hmm.
The mere fact that you're a good person, but there are also so many good people out there because they could have kicked you out regardless if you were a good person. So,
money matters.
Yeah, I mean, so many people will still kick you out if you're good. So I want to point out that the fact that humans out there can still help others, even if you're bending the rules a little bit, because you see someone struggling and trying to make it. I can't imagine if they did kick you out, and then it leads to that the sense of hopelessness,
Mm-hmm.
and so by them doing that helped you and motivated you in its own right as well. Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you, all those people that helped.
Listen, I go every month. Like, if I haven't talked to those that helped me, I send a text, I call them to say thank you. Listen, I don't have it now to bless you. They be like, don't worry about it. Don't worry. It was from my heart. And I'm like, listen, if you ever see me on TV and I win one of them big jackpots from the lottery, you better celebrate wherever you are with me, because I promise you, I'm going to send you a Facebook message and be like, hey, remember when you looked me out? I love you for that. So, yeah, so like, even though they say, I always go on a gratitude tour. Like, I just call people on my phone that help me because, like I said, even though I was very strong with my own willpower, I needed people to help me. That's why I always tell my students, make sure that you maintain the respect with people that are in a position to help you, because you're going to need them. Like, you may not like me, but I know you. I spend time with you. I'm an educator. I spend time with you. And I'll be like, all these other people, not all these others, but there are some teachers that you cannot ask for a recommendation letter. At least I can write for you if it's worth it. So make sure you respect me. Make sure you do represent yourself well. You understand? So
overall, how long were you homeless for?
2 years, the first time. Second time, probably like 6 months. But the second time, my LB, my fraternity brother, not the one that found me, the last in line, my tail dog, he's like, man, stop sleeping everywhere. Come sleep in my house. I let him sleep. He let me sleep at his house, but because of the inconvenience, I had to pay rent. No problem. I'll pay whatever you want me to pay, as long as I don't sleep on the streets. So I had to pay $200 a month. But I was, I'm gonna get the hustle. I'm gonna get it together. I paid $200 a month. And even that, people may say that was wrong. No, it gave me a sense of drive. It gave me a sense of responsibility. Hey, you can lay here all day, but on the first, you need to have $200 for him, or back to the streets you go. And you said you was never going to be homeless again. So much for what you said. So I got it together. Never sold drugs. Like, I didn't want to just put my mom. Never sold drugs. I just did it the right way. Like, it could have been easy. Like I said, I grew up in that environment. My brothers, the first three, what do you think they went to jail for? Not murder, because they still be there. They went to jail for weed and stuff like that. And this is in the 90s on the 3 strike rules and stuff like that. So, all that. So, yeah. I tried to assume to do it the right way. It's just I'm hard-headed. Not anymore. I learned to be more receptive. Hard-headedness doesn't get you there. Pride, most people like to condemn pride, but sometimes that's the only Gatorade you have after a long day. So.
Yeah. I can relate to pride. I think so many of us have so much pride. It's hard to ask for help, but I'd hate to think that would be there to help. So we got to look at ourselves internally, which I know you've done as well. Okay,
I've
so
done a lot. I still do to this day. Like, I make sure that I don't get too comfortable as if I'm beyond what I went through.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to share that I haven't asked you or you haven't said about homelessness, or what do you want people to know?
In consequence, I did take 12 years to finish a 4-year degree. Would like people to know that there's no shame there. I have it. But to those that are still finding struggles, still finding it hard to finish, don't allow societal standards to govern your life. That's where the depression, that's where the stress, that's where when you think you have to keep up with your people, with your age group, with your grade class, with your cohort, whatever group you started with, you don't have to finish and end with them. You understand? Your life is your life. Finish on your time. And whatever you have to offer the world, when it's your time to bring it to the world, it'll be right for the moment. And that's what I had to learn. Like, stop trying to keep pace with everybody else. Learn yourself, do your own thing. And as you're minding your own business and managing your own obligations, you'll be better suited to be productive. So yeah.
And what did you do for food, by the way, while you were at school?
While I was in school, I hate ramen noodles to this day. You can't get me to eat any oodles and noodles. Oh my goodness, you cannot. I'm bougie. I would go to the Chinese store and get mixed vegetables with garlic sauce or broccoli with garlic sauce and fried rice, white rice. That was only a $5 plate. So you get nutrients along with, people with that group. Give them some starch. You need some starch. So with your starch, you're getting your rice, you're getting your vegetables. On Sunday, if you had extra dollars, you get some chicken wings in that thing, But I ate the calf. And it was like, I'm like, as long as you give me one meal, just one meal, I'm good. And the calf was, buffet style, so you could eat whatever. You just couldn't take no food out the cafeteria. So I would eat one meal. And then for the first hour, I'll be so stuffed that I have to walk it off. But then throughout the day, I have all the energy I need. So when I knew that when I didn't have enough energy, go lay down or get you a bag of chips. But then my family has a history of diabetes, so I didn't want to do too much junk food. So, when I ran out of energy, it was just like, that's it. Like, you don't have no more quarters for the game. Go lay down. Like, try again tomorrow. So I ate the calf, and when I had money, I would go to the Chinese restaurant. Even I know Black power, Black businesses, but I would go to the Chinese restaurant and eat the $5 plates because I ain't no fancy guy. To this day, I stay humble. I don't do much. You might see a picture on social media, but I'm not a braggadocious guy. So I would eat to answer your question.
Did you ever have to go on the streets themselves to sleep?
Yes. The only thing that I did not do was eat out of a garbage can. I slept in 5 Points. I slept in Martin Luther King Park. If I go to 5 Points tonight, if there are people that are still homeless out there that remember when I slept in the park, we would talk. We would talk. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, I'm like, I'm not giving you any money, but if you're hungry, we can go eat. I'm not giving you no money because I don't want you to buy no liquor. I don't want you to buy no vices. I don't want to contribute to your detriment. So we can go eat. We can go, whatever's open, we can go sit down. I ain't embarrassed to be with you because I used to hang out with you before I got to this status. But we're going to talk about getting right. I can't give you money because I'm still working on my stability. But I'm going to tell you what I did. I'm going to tell you how I got there. I worked at Chick-fil-A. I worked at Chipotle. I worked at fast food restaurants. I don't care if I was beyond the age of these restaurants. I worked it because it was bringing in money. And eventually, if you show worth in these companies, you'll be management. And if you do the right thing, you can be a franchisee. You can be a whole Happy Meal story. You feel me?
How did people treat you when you were on the streets, homeless?
Oh man, there's people that smile in your face. People drive past you. All of that, like the people that you thought, people that you gave money to, people that you probably did homework for. You thinking, okay, I'm gonna do this for you. You got me when I need you. I mean, you's a leper. Like I had a disease that was incurable, so nobody wanted to be around me. So yeah, that's what it was. Like people treated you like a disease. They act like. I mean, I didn't go around people when I smelled bad because I had pride. But when they found out that I wasn't in school, why he in school? You know, why he around here? Like, what he doing? So people, you was an outsider. People that you thought were cool with you just log on to Facebook one day in the library computer, whether it was the school library or the public library, or you had a phone. I had kept a phone, and I just needed to link up to different Wi-Fi networks, and I had internet. So I would sit there and I would applications or whatever. But you'll go on Facebook and you'll see jokes being made, and people don't forget that you're following them. And like they forget, and they have the audacity to like put your name in a comment. Yeah, this Jew. And you be reading like, what is this? And you like, oh, man, that's what y'all think about me, man. Dang, I thought we was cool. So I'm sinking down because it's like I can remember feeling the weight of like, dang. So then you really discern, and you like, you're not my friend. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. So then, it's like, okay, you become quiet, you withdraw because it's like, okay, either I'm going to tap out, but I already seen a dream and that wasn't the end. Either you're going to tap out or you're going to just work quietly because you're not posting don't mean it's not happening. So I'm working quietly behind the scenes and I built myself up to the point where when I graduated from college, you had the same people making jokes. And I'm an Omega, and I'm an influential Omega in my chapter, to where when homecoming comes, like I have a say so and stuff. So there was an incident that happened last year or 2019 because we didn't have homecoming in 2020, but 2019 there was a guy that I saw making ridicule of me, and I didn't beat him up or nothing. But he was like, "Hey man, what's up, man? Oh man, drink with me." I'm looking like, you was the same guy making these jokes. Huh, me? I said, not me. I said, bro, yes, you were. Like, I remember it. I remember. And I screenshot a lot of stuff just for proof. And I pulled it up. Call it girly if you want to for my manly men out there. But I pulled it up for reference purposes. I said, is that not your comment? Is this not what you said about me? Is this not the gift that you added? I said, anybody else? He said, he's quiet. I'm going because he has no words to say against me. I'm like, you're caught. I'm like, anybody else will beat on y'all, but I'm a different person. I understand that y'all follow society and whatever society, misery loves company. So y'all love this, but I understand I'm different. But I'm sorry. I forgive you. I just want you to know I'm not drinking with you. I understand where we are. We're not friends. Eventually, maybe, but I'm not a guy. You fool me once, you ain't gonna fool me again. So
Junius, as we go to wrap up, I am
sorry,
so glad.
I get turned off. I'm sorry.
No. I'm so glad that you survived so much. I can't say it. I'm just glad that you shared it on the Caribbean Edge, to just give us a
My
glimpse.
first time outside. I tell my mom this is the first time.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So
So
I see it through Caribbean Edge.
so you gave us such an insight on so much. And I'm sure there's so much more that could be covered. I just want to celebrate your success, where you are today after you walked us through all this. So, in closing, just tell us where you are, what inspires you now, and what you're doing.
So, right now, I am an educator with the Richland One School District. I'm a behavioral interventionist. So, my goal is to, I've noticed as a long-term sub, students aren't getting that fundamental right or wrong, practical morals. You understand? So they don't understand when you say that's not the right thing because they're not being taught. So I left the classroom to become a behavioral interventionist. I know the pay is not the same, but I'm in education. I have a college degree. I'm going back to get my master's. I'm going back. I'm not stopping until I'm a doctor. So hopefully, in a few interviews, we go from just, Junius to Dr. Junius. You don't have to call me, but that's an aspiration of mine, Dr. Douglas, whatever. But right now, I'm an educator, and I'm a mentor. I'm a tutor. I'm everything. I give service. I make sure that the students, I love children. So I make sure that these children understand, listen, when I see that, hey, you don't want to listen, you don't want to do your work, I tell them from my own personal experiences what it's like being homeless. I tell them from my own personal experiences what it feels like to being distraught. I understand that it's so easy for us to our children don't have the same willpower. So it's a little easy. Like you turn on the news and you see students committing suicide because they were bullied. Not saying, but so I had to tell them, hey, it's so easy for you to give up. You have to understand that if you don't have these necessary tools, whether it is social skills or emotional skills to availably express yourself through words, or if you don't have the education, not because they say get an education, but because you need an education. I press it to kids, elementary to middle school, even high school, even college. Like I'm in the position where it's like I'm a wealth of knowledge. I'm standing in the gap. If you ever get close to that gap, if I can help, I'm gonna pull you back. If I can't, I'm gonna stand in the gap, let you walk on my shoulders, because I'm telling you, you're going the wrong way. So I try to use my life as not to be sacrilegious or blasphemous, as a Bible, as a directory. Hey, you doing wrong, bro. Understand? I'll pull out scriptures in a heartbeat. Come on, Drew, don't preach to me. I got to, bro, because I don't want to wake up one day and see that you tapped out on Facebook and everybody's saying RIP. He could have talked to me. She could have talked to me. Listen, I'm telling you now, bro. I'm telling you now. So that's what I'm doing now. I make sure that my life is a testimony to whomever, whether you need it at the current time, or you need to put it in your knapsack, your book bag, or your back pocket for future references. Like there in the 12 years experience at Benedict, there are so many people that can say you shouldn't give up because Junius was here. Junius didn't have no money. Junius figured out a way. So I'm not saying that your problem is bad, but draw strength from Junius. And I ain't trying to be Jesus. I ain't. But draw strength from Junius. He believed in God. Like when he didn't have nothing else, he didn't have nowhere else to go. He believed that God was gonna make a way, and God did. And I ain't telling you to just whatever God is to you, God is good. So I don't want you to think that if God tell you to go shoot something, that ain't God. God ain't tell you to go shoot nothing. God is good. So God, whether you call him Allah, whether you call him Jesus, whomever you call him, he is good. So believe in God, and he'll guide you. He'll guide you like these bright lights in my face.
Well, Junius, thank you so much for sharing your story with me and the rest of the world. I am so glad that you kept your faith as well. I'm so glad that you failed at your attempts and that you're here to tell your journey to inspire others and keep doing what you're doing to help others in the community. And once again, thank you for all the people, the angels that were placed in your life to help you. They look the other way and break the rules.
Listen, and I owe them everything. Like in the Bible where real quick, and that's my last Bible reference. But in the Bible when the friendship between David and Jonathan was so strong that when David became king after Jonathan had died, after Saul, there was no lineage, there was no other living bloodline of Saul or his friend Jonathan. Jonathan had a son that was lame. And when David found out that he was Jonathan's son, and he brought him into the kingdom. So I owe y'all. Y'all that helped me. I know I haven't given you all the monies that you've given me or all the time that you invested in me. If I don't get to give it to you, I promise you I'm gonna give it to someone that has come from you because you have done it for me. And if I don't pay it back, just know that every ounce of things that I pay forward is because you have invested in me. So that's it.
Exactly. Keep paying it forward, and your interview is going to impact lives. So you are giving it back. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Caribbean Edge. And thank you, Junius, for sharing
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm blessed and honored to meet you. Have an amazing week.